Hello and welcome to the first episode of Blitz The Bolt. I'm here with Ant, and today we're going to be talking about many things. First, we're going to introduce ourselves, what the podcast is, and the Chiefs game, and how we thought Herbert played, the defense played, and all that type of thing. So, hope you guys enjoy the ride, and here we go. Okay, so my name is Nate. I'm 16. I go to Chafee High School. I play football there. I play D-line, O-line. And pretty much how I fell in love with football was just at a young age. I started playing it, and I really liked watching when I was 13, and I really got into it. And here I am now, making a podcast with my buddy. And I really enjoyed the whole scouting part of the football world, where you scout a player, grade the player off their film, and more analyze of how they are. And I do more so draft type things over in-season content. So I've met Ant through a mutual friend. He used to go to my school, and we never got to meet in person, but we do talk a lot, and we both have the same love and passion for Chargers football.
With that being said, hi, my name's Anthony. I'm 17 years old. I am a senior in high school. And boy, where do I begin with this? Back in 2016 is when I became a Chargers fan. If any of you guys are like sort of longtime Chargers fans, you guys will remember that's the season where kicking was a huge issue. That year is the year that we gave the Cleveland Browns their only win. So kind of growing up with that, I've always been sort of that person who like gets picked on because I grew up around a ton of Raiders fans and whatnot. But I stuck with the team ever since, even from the move from San Diego to Los Angeles. And I have such a deep love for this team, which is why I sort of wanted to, share my ideas to the world and kind of get my idea out, kind of get the ideas that I have, because I see a lot of people doing it, and honestly, it seems like a really fun thing to do. So I decided, sort of take it up with my good friend here. As he sort of said before, we haven't met in real life, unfortunately, but we share the same love for the Chargers. We love them more than the next person. Um, Unlike him, though, I'm more of a in-season kind of analyzing players as it sort of happens. Kind of more of the emotional aspect of a football game rather than the more statistical. But I'm not going to ignore the facts, So, which kind of pertains to one of the topics that we have today, which is actually Justin Herbert's performance in the Chiefs game. Nate, do you want to kind of
Man,
talk
oh
about that a little
man.
bit?
So my boy Justin Herbert, he comes in 10 seconds before the game was like the kickoff, and he's just like, "Damn, I'm in the game." And we're all surprised on our couch. Like, I heard his mom even missed the first like couple plays of his like
Yeah,
first NFL game, and because we're all not expecting it, but he comes in. And we're like, okay, let's see what the rookie can do, and we're all confused. I thought it was a trick play. I thought it was like a special um, formation they had for him, or just something to throw the defense off. But no, he was in, and I was very confused. I'm like, why isn't Tyrod in? But he comes in. We hand the ball off a couple times to Eckler, getting that nice yardage, and then his first play, pressure up the middle. I'm pretty sure from Chris Jones, he kind of like stutters and goes to his right a little bit, dumps it off to Joshua Kelly for like, I think it was like a 35-yard gain, I want to say, and that's a huge
yeah,
way to
yeah.
start off your career, man, rookie to rookie. And he played very well, very consistent. Here, there's a couple balls I saw to like Hunter was too low or Mike too high, Keenan like over the shoulder too much. There's like ball placement I've noticed, but that was one of his biggest knocks in college, that everything was a fastball. Nothing had touch or accuracy. And it was very like a one read type of system he had. He would run the run option a lot. And speaking of which, I've noticed Anthony Lynn has definitely put in a lot for Herbert. There was a lot more read option for him. We ran it 3 times in a row at the goal line with Eckler, and none of that worked. But you saw the way he can run, and yeah, he took a big hit from the linebacker, and the linebacker got the worser end of that. And overall, I'm pretty happy of what he did. I would like to see him run on that one play where he threw the interception. Yes, we all know that play. But I did see what he was going for, and we'll go more in depth with that in a little bit. What do you think?
So, see, like, I was one of the people when we drafted Herbert that kind of figured, hey, we should sort of like sit him down for a year. You know,
Exactly.
I had, and like I still have a lot of faith in Tyrod Taylor, even though he performed the way he did in the Bengals game. But credit to Pep Hamilton, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, he was one of my more underrated signings that wasn't a player in the offseason. Because if you look at certain interviews and stuff, there's so much credit that goes to Pep Hamilton that's just mainly unnoticed. I believe he coached Andrew Luck, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did for the
Yeah,
Colts.
yeah, yeah. He coached Luck, and I mean, it's unfortunate the way that
He went
Luck
out.
sort of that he had to end his career. But I mean, he produced a hell of a quarterback,
Yeah.
which is that make that like I can't explain the jitters that I not the jitters. I can't explain the emotion that I had when I saw Herbert on the field after the first play because kind of like you said, I originally thought that it was gonna be like a trick play or something. I thought Tyrod, might have been lined up in the slot or
So
something,
yeah.
and that they were gonna run like I don't know, like an RPO or something. But then when I saw him on the field, I think the next play, like you're talking about, he threw to Joshua Kelly for what was it, a
35.
20? Was it a 35-yard gain?
I want to say
It was
so.
like, yeah, it was like a 35-yard gain. Which I mean, a lot of people just see it as a dump off, but for us, after seeing so many years of Phillip Rivers, like
The
it
master of
was
dump
just
offs.
yeah, yeah, the master of dump offs. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Rivers,
That's my
but like
boy.
after a while, like you have to get excited for this new look Chargers offense.
Yeah, I love that we're run first, especially with the quarterback. I've always thought we can run the ball and pound it, even without Melvin, which that's a whole different thing for me. But like the way that Eckler runs, even between the tackles, is like fantastic. He always falls forward. He always fights for every yard. He sees the gap very well. I noticed in the Bengals game he had some issues seeing the gap he needs to go through, but other than that, he fixed it real quick. Very good at making something out of nothing, and not even to mention his like him as a weapon in the receiving game. That's a whole different like story with him, and I'm very happy that we have a quarterback that can take like another thing off the defense.
Yeah, like in all honesty, I think around like Christian McCaffrey, well, other than Christian McCaffrey, like Eckler's one of the most dangerous like running backs in the league.
Oh yeah,
Because
for sure.
not only like kind of how you were saying, he's a workhorse. He fights for every yard, but he sort of he's a really good receiving back.
He's slippery, man. Like the amount of times I've seen the man break out of a tackle and just keep going, or like he broke out of that. I remember the first week of last year against the Colts, he caught a ball and then like there was like three guys on him and he just kept going and ran for the touchdown. That was amazing. It might have been a run,
On
not a
the
catch.
Well, either way, like it showcases his abilities, you know.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
like in the off season, dude, he built so much muscle. And last year, when he shared reps, well, not when he shared reps with Gordon, when like he took over for Gordon,
Mm-hmm.
like I was obviously skeptical at first, but then once I saw like that brute force that he had and his ability to catch the ball,
Oh yeah,
like it was like I was sold. I actually have his jersey coming out. I don't know if I told you about that. I
that's
have a
awesome.
yeah, I have the Navy Eckler jersey coming in.
Number
Won't be here
three.
till November. Fix your shit, Chargers. But on the topic of running backs, though, Joshua Kelly,
Whew.
a fourth round rookie, who is starting to seem like a steal, one of the best steals in the draft in the
Oh, for
modern era.
sure.
I'm not gonna even lie. Well, not the modern era, but the modern era for the Chargers.
Oh yeah.
That he's a for sure a steal after not having any second or third round picks, which went towards Kenneth Murray, who we're gonna talk about that later too. But
Yeah.
man,
So with Joshua Kelly, funny story about him. I like to do mock drafts for the Chargers every year, a couple before the draft, and I had Joshua Kelly going to the Chargers way before we picked him, and I was very pleased to see that we picked him because he's a hard runner. He fixes that tackle to tackle runner that we need, the one that Anthony likes, and little like did we know he can catch the ball, and he had really good vision. Like his knocks in college he was quote unquote slow. He didn't have great vision, and he wasn't all around polished because he came from UC Davis to UCLA, but he looks amazing, and I'm very happy that like my mock draft actually had someone that we picked, and I've been a firm believer in this guy even before like I saw his face, and that dude has a smile that makes me smile like no matter what I'm going through or whatever. I see that smile, I'm like, damn, like he makes me want to smile too.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the video that the Chargers posted today. It was sort of like a Q&A.
Yep.
Uh,
For the helmet.
every question that kid had a smile, and it's like for me for football, if you don't have a good chemistry with your team, or like you don't have a good foundation laid out, then like you're not gonna perform well, you know. So to see that sort of young energy and that enthusiastic energy, like it's great. But real quick on the topic of Chargers Instagram, speaking of, did you see the video where it was Eckler mic'd up against the Chiefs?
No,
Um,
I have not.
he he actually on a play that Eckler did where he spun in the backfield
Yeah,
to
I did see
make like
that.
two defenders miss and like he burst up that hole on the right side.
Yeah,
Um,
took it from Kelly
yeah, he took that from Joshua Kelly from week 1
against the
on the Bengals.
Bengals.
Yeah, and that what did that drive go for? Or not the drive. That play went for a good chunk of yardage, didn't it?
Yeah,
On both tries.
that
I've
was that's crazy how you can spin out of like a tackle. That's awesome.
yeah, it kind of plays into the whole like this is gonna be a sort of a hot take, and I might get flamed for this. I think the 1-2 punch of Joshua Kelly and Austin Eckler is so much better than the 1-2 punch of Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler. I said it.
I felt like Eckler never needed to be the complement to Eckler. I think Melvin needed to be the complement to Eckler, right? You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
Kelly is more of that complement than Eckler being the complement, and I think that helps out very well because Eckler's a definitely three down running back. He can block, he can catch, he can run, and then when you need to change a pace, get who better than Joshua Kelly to change the pace totally, but still having some of the skill set that Eckler has, and with Kelly, he's a powerful guy. You see that he like totally juked or not juked, he totally trucked that guy from the Bengals, the linebacker Jermaine Pratt, and that was awesome to see. I'm really excited for his future. But I think we were kind of sleeping on Justin Jackson. Yes, he hasn't been healthy, but when that guy's on the field, he's very like decisive in his runs. He reminds me of Le'Veon, very patient but decisive on where he wants to go. Makes one cut and can go up the field.
yeah. Seeing him live at the San Francisco preseason game that I went to about like 1 or 2 years ago, it was something special. Like he's not like Kelly and Eckler in the sense of like he's a workhorse. He's more
It's a
kind of like you
compliment.
said. Yeah, he's more decisive. Like his moves, like his juke moves, and just the rate at which he spins, the
Oh
way that
yeah,
he makes defenders miss, and the
very
speed
subtle.
especially. The speed especially though. Like you don't expect a guy with those sort of moves to have so much speed,
Yeah, I think he has more
but
burst if anything. Like he just through the hole and go. You know what I mean? I love the subtleness. I watched this like film breakdown of him where he's like following his pulling guards. It was against the Lions line game. It was his big run from the Lions, and he's following his guards, and he kind of slows down for a second to get the block, and he like moves his head and his shoulder in a certain way to manipulate the defender, and totally like jukes him out just by subtle movements like that. That is like unbelievably technically sound from someone who was like what was it, year 2 for him?
yeah, it was year 2.
That's crazy. And I think once he's on the field, we'll probably like if let's say we run the ball 30 times, right? Like probably like 15 Eckler, 10 to 12 to Kelly, and then the rest would be probably from JJ and maybe even a little bit from Bradwell.
Yeah, in the I think it was yeah 2 years ago in the 2018 game versus the Chiefs where we beat them
Oh yeah,
with the 2 point conversion.
love that.
Wasn't it Jackson who scored one of the touchdowns later on in the game?
I
Or am I
want
thinking of the Pittsburgh game?
no he.
Or was it both
It was
games? It
both
might have been
games.
both games
It was both
actually.
games. That's when
See,
he
and,
started to come on.
yeah, and that was his rookie year.
Yeah,
Like it's unfortunate about his injury, but I think for now, the number back running 2 spot, until he comes back, it's in good hands. For
Yeah,
sure.
I think he lost number 2 to Kelly already. I think he's gonna be the number 3. Austin Eckler, he had a bunch of carries. Kelly had a bunch of carries, and JJ was actually healthy that game, and he only had 2 carries for 4 yards. So I think he already lost it.
I feel like with the offense that Lynn sort of wants to run with Herbert, though, we're going to see a lot more than 2 running backs.
That is true.
Not obviously not on the field at the same time, but with like the different play styles that they have, we're going to be seeing a lot more of them on the field. Speaking of seeing a lot more of them on the field, one of the things that I want to see a lot more on the field is that Chargers defense, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, hopefully not from an interception or a fumble or anything like that, but
Oh, no.
I hope to see them more because the front 7, beautiful. The back 5, or well, back 4, but the whole secondary is amazing. There's really no weakness, barring injury on our whole defense. We solved our DT issues with Linval Joseph, who's been a monster, and Jerry Tillery. Oh my gosh, that guy is nuts. He since from season 1 to season 2 for him has been huge. He's been playing like a totally different player.
Honestly, I think that is partially because of the addition of Linval. On the play where Tillery blocked the PAT,
Oh yeah,
Linval,
Damien Square.
yeah, Damian Square actually kind of ushered him to scoot over to where he's supposed to be. So that, with the combination of Linval on the defensive drives, he sort of did the same thing. It's greatly helped him in his growth. Honestly, I was one of those people going into this year like, not that we wasted a first round pick on him, but I was sort of losing hope on him. But I'm 100% glad he proved me wrong.
Oh yeah, me too. I did a mock draft for that year as well, and it was my first mock draft I've ever done, and my mock was Jerry Tillery and Nasir Adderley for our first 2 picks, and I was super happy when we got both of them. I'm a huge Nas fan, which we'll probably get into a little later, but Tillery, I was always pleased with his pass rush ability. I liked what he can do, but he was always playing too high. In college, you can get away with that because he's bigger and stronger. He's 6'7", 6'6", and in the NFL, if you're 6'6", that's huge, of course, but against NFL guys, that's not that big. And if you play high, you're gonna get mauled to the ground due to your leverage, But he's definitely been playing stronger and faster, especially against the run. Very impressed against that, and I really like what he's done so far for the whole defense. And I think Linval has made differences in ways that will not show up on a stat sheet,
Like the stuff that Linval has sort of contributed to that defensive line, I'm gonna start calling him like the electric fence. I saw that on Twitter earlier, and I was like, "Dang, that's such a."
Into that, I think my dad's been a Charger fan since 93, 92, and he said they called the old D line the electric fence, so that could be from back then, that idea.
Yeah, I'm sort of because the Chargers defense in Days of Old has always been stellar.
Oh,
And I feel like these past couple of years, obviously, it's been really good with Derwin James, Melvin Ingram, Joey Bosa, Casey Hayward, those type of guys. But when you like it, I feel like for the Chargers, a big problem has always been that defensive line. Like I love Justin Jones and Brandon Meanbane more than the next guy, but
just wasn't it.
They're no Linval Joseph.
Yeah.
Like the impact that he's made on the field with just sort of getting guys out of the way. Sure, he doesn't really have sacks or quarterback hits or anything, but the way he's able to get that pressure is crazy. I read somewhere actually that the Chargers
lead the league
with like 52 in
2 games.
In 2 games.
That's
absolutely crazy. It sucks to think too that people doubted this Chargers defense after we lost Derwin James.
Yeah, man. I mean, the loss of Tranquil was, I think, it hurt more just to see him cry, because I love Tranquil. He was one of my favorite players last year, and the way he played, and I really liked that. But someone I have to talk about who's been very disappointing for me has been Justin Jones. He was hyped up this year to be bigger and stronger, and the net he's gonna play way better, but I haven't seen it. I've seen that from Tillery, the hype from Jones. Maybe they got mistaken for Tillery, because I haven't really seen much hype for Tillery, but all the hype in the world for Jones, and Tillery's really been the one to impress me.
Yeah, like there's going into the season, it was not questionable, but it was kind of concerning. Like looking at all the little pieces that you have, especially with no preseason.
Oh yeah,
Like there's sort of that feeling of how is this team gonna function? Playing on what you said about Jones, I I fully agree with kind of what you said. I've been expecting a lot more out of him this season, which I haven't seen. I mean, it's only 2 games in,
yeah, of
so
course,
I can't be too hard on him. But I mean, at the same time, though, like he needs to step it up so that D line can be that much better because the D line's good right now. That defense is just good right now.
oh
But
yeah. I
if
mean,
if we want if we want that D line to be like one of the most talked about in the league, then I feel like Jones has to step up for sure.
for sure. I mean, and then playing off that is the linebackers. I've always been a fan of our linebackers. Denzel Perryman, I've talked to like a couple times, and I know you have too. And
Yeah.
he's honestly he's an amazing dude. I love the energy and passion he brings to the field every time he's on it. He's the big hitter. I think he's better as a spark plug type of plug and play player rather than a starter. Put him in at we put him at like in that first down running plays. At goal line type things because he can cover, but that's not his strength whatsoever. But we have guys like Kaiser, Drew, now Kenneth that can all really run and cover, but no one can really stop the run as Denzel can. And Denzel has been teaching these guys up, and I saw in interviews trying to be more of a leader, and I I really appreciate what he's done for the defense outside of just playing because his role is diminished and he's been getting hurt, and he's okay with that, it seems, and he's been teaching the young guys everything he knows. He's been a better person than he has been a player for the team. I'd like.
So, on the topic of lines that have performed really well, how
Oh
about
yeah,
this offensive line?
dude. Okay, first of all, the hiring of James Campen, I'm pretty sure that's his name, has been
I believe so.
like has been amazing. I'm super glad we got rid of our last O-line coach, no disrespect, but he's on the Panthers now, and he brought Trent Scott in, really? Okay, after he performed. But, so, I'm very happy we got this new guy in, and he looks like, guys like Dan Feeney and Forrest Lamp, who were somewhat disappointing, or really disappointing in Lamp's case, has really stepped it up and played great. Like, Feeney at center, out of position, playing great. Went against Chris Jones, did fine. Trey Turner has been a little bit of disappointment to me being hurt, and then in the second game his PFF grade was 58, which I don't really like PFF because they're very inconsistent. But 58, he was going against Chris Jones. But if you're going to be our star guard, you got to step it up,
Yeah.
So the interior's been fine though. I like the depth we have there with Ryan Groy, Scotty Q, and then at the tackles positions, Tevy's been actually good. I've never thought that sentence would ever come out of my mouth. But
Yeah, like for once in my life, I can sit here and say that I'm confident in Sam Tevi,
nah,
which is terrible because if you were to pull up some of my Instagram posts from last year, I mean, I was saying completely otherwise. I was kind of mean to him. I'm not gonna lie, but
like
yeah, this offensive line, man, like it's so much better than what it was last year, 100%.
oh yeah, for sure. And I think all the credit really goes to the coaching staff on doing that. My inside joke was always turnstile Tevy. Like that's who he was. And I noticed when we had Scott in last year with Tevy, and then I didn't realize how much I liked Tevy until Scott replaced him. You know,
Yeah.
'cause the drop off was significant. Even though Tevy's so bad, it actually got worse, and I was surprised. But Tevy's played great, and then Brian Bulaga has been in and out very much. And I like this what I saw from Pipkins when Bulaga got out from the Chiefs. Pipkins looked really good. I like his development, and probably next year I think is Tevy's contract, and I think we'll get rid of him and get Pipkins in to replace him at left tackle. And I think the duo of Pipkins and Bulaga will be pretty great for the next couple of years.
Yeah, with Balaga, like I honestly, I don't know. It's only 2 games in, but I think going into this season, I thought like, oh, he's an older dude. Like obviously he's good, he's stellar, he's blocked for Aaron Rodgers
Yeah,
all his years. So you know how hard of a test that's gonna be.
because he
But
holds the ball like no other.
yeah, so I was kind of expecting like a downfall for him this season a little bit, like kind of he's gonna start declining. But I have yet to see that. I mean, it's unfortunate he got injured during that Chiefs game,
Oh
but
yeah.
regardless, he's played him and that entire line. Like it's shocking. Like it's like the center position too.
Oh, Feeney.
Like yeah, Feeney has stepped it up for fucking Pouncey.
Oh yeah. I think Pouncey's gone after this year. I think we either cut him or his contract's up because, the games he did play, he was really good against the run, but other than that, he's been disappointing. You know.
Yeah. I mean, it's good though that we're only paying him like what $2 million this year or something like that.
I'm not too sure on that, like the contract info, but I don't know, man. He's getting hurt a lot, and that really sucks for him as a person, but as a player, we like to see him on the field.
I think that the only thing I really don't like about that injury is how he waited until like what was it, two to get that surgery.
Oh yeah,
When I was reading that his doctors advised him like 6 years ago, like, hey, in 5 or 6 years you're gonna need this hip replacement. So I think he should have been more wary of that time frame beforehand. So maybe he could have gotten one more year to kind of prove himself. Because I feel like, kind of like what you said, he's done really good against the run. But other than that, like there isn't much production out of him.
yeah. I mean, hindsight's 2020 at the end of the day. I'm sure if he was back in that situation, he would have done that again, or he would have replaced his hip. My bad. But I mean, with all that O line success, they've been complimenting the hell out of our rookies. We've talked about Herbert. Let's get a little bit more in depth with him. I really like overall his way he commanded the offense. I was so surprised that to hear 10 seconds before the game started, he was like, "Oh crap, I'm the starter," and he commanded the offense. He went in, plugged and played with no first team reps in defense, no preseason, no OTAs, none of this. Comes in, plays great against the Super Bowl champs. And granted, there's superstars out there. There's Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones. His pocket presence was like the best thing I think of his whole game last week.
He 100% outplayed Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah,
Like regardless of what anyone says. But at the same time, that's no disrespect to Patrick Mahomes at all. I was reading that after the game,
oh yeah,
he was giving Herbert some advice, which
taking hits and all
makes yeah, it makes me really excited to see the future of the AFC West.
that. Oh yeah,
Like I feel like now it's not prominently just the Chiefs division, which it's been for the past what like 5-6 years.
yeah. I heard
Yeah,
when I
like
heard Tony Romo say he was special, I kind of believed him because Tony Romo always has like a way of just knowing, before something actually happens, and
yeah.
quarterback to quarterback, I think that him saying that is big.
On the topic of rookies, Kenneth Murray, he's making a. I think he leads the league. Not the league. He leads the team in tackles as a rookie.
That's nuts. I mean, I've been pretty impressed. Like, there's a couple plays where I've been disappointed on the TV. Like, I was seeing him walk on a few plays, or like he was blitzing and just gets demolished. I'm happy with him, but for me personally, I've been disappointed. Like, for a rookie, I'm totally cool with him having these mistakes. There was a couple times where he let the blocker come to him rather than going for the blocker or going for the tackle, and I just like to see the pursuit angles and little things to pick up.
Wow, this is gonna be the first time I'm gonna have to disagree with you on our first episode.
That's not
Wow.
good.
um, it kind of ties. My reasoning is it kind of ties back into what I was saying before. Just the energy that he brings as a rookie,
That's true.
like it's thoroughly impressive with all the guys that you have on that defense that he's leading. Yeah, no, he's leading the team in tackles.
Oh yeah.
Like when you have guys like Casey Hayward, Chris Harris, when you have those sort of guys out there, like big hitters who not only defend that, like they play the secondary really well, that can sort of crunch in on that run. Like, sure, he's a linebacker, like that's expected of him, But as a rookie, doing all of that, like that's exceptional to me. And kind of like you said, okay, yeah, there's been some plays, but there's been some plays amongst a lot of rookies. It's just
Oh yeah.
it's rookie mistakes, which kind of like with Herbert when he sort of when he threw the ball, which led to the interception. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mistake that later on he fixed. I see the same with Kenneth Murray, where there's some plays, kind of like how you said, he lets the blocker come to him rather
Oh yeah.
than him charging up the field. Um, and I can slowly see him kind of fixing it. Sure, it's not like 100% fixed, but it's slowly getting there. You know?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've been very impressed with his coverage. Like I saw this. I think Tyreek Hill's running a crosser, and he perfectly covered the crosser. He got his hand in there. I mean, coverage-wise, I have no complaints. He's been doing good. I just against the run, there's little subtle things that it very for a rookie, I'm very pleased. I'm just saying, for me personally, I like to see like the subtle techniques and stuff he's cleaned up. Um, there's a play that I'm trying to think of. Like I just remember my dad. I'm like, who's? He was all like, who's 56? What the hell is he doing out on the field? I'm like, that's Kenneth Murray, Dad. And he's all like, well, he's being lazy. And I was like, I watched the replay of it, and he was right. He was kind of just like, I think it was a toss, and he just didn't really run to the toss. He just kind of let it happen. But I could be totally wrong. But I'm pretty sure that's what I remember.
I think it was actually Vigil who made that play. I don't think Murray was on the field at that point.
Mm. Like speaking of Vigil, I think he was an underrated signing. But I haven't. The stats say he only got 3 tackles in the Bengals game. But I mean, for him to have depth and definitely some special teams action will be awesome. With the loss of Tranquil, I'm very glad we signed him, and to have like another rotational guy for the linebackers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with the Chargers, with their history of injury, it is always 100% good to have depth.
Yeah, someone who I've liked ever since the day we drafted him was Kaiser White. His rookie year got me so excited for him. Um, I mean, I'm really happy the way he played even last year. I went to the Broncos game, our home, the one where we had no offense whatsoever. But there was a play he picked off the ball, and there was also a play in the end zone where it was the back corner. They throw it up to him, and he just knocks it straight down. He played the defense perfectly. And I really liked what I've seen of him as a coverage linebacker. I just hope to see him healthy, and I've heard Lynn give him compliments, and that's really encouraging for him and his playing time.
I feel the exact same way, not about him, but about Uchenna Nwosu
Oh
actually.
yeah,
Which I'm like, it's unfortunate that Ingram's out. For those of you who don't know, Anthony Lynn ruled out Melvin Ingram, but Nwosu, he's no Melvin Ingram, obviously. But I
similar.
see, yeah, it's very similar. The way the way he's able to penetrate that backfield so fast with so many moves in such a short amount of time.
Very well
Like,
as a speed
I,
rusher.
yeah, I love Nuosu. What was he? What round was he taken in? Like,
Second.
was it the third?
It was the
It
second.
was the second.
Yeah.
It was the second.
Yeah.
Well, regardless, just you don't expect that sort of. I mean, I didn't really expect that talent out of a second round pick. It wasn't even a high second round pick, was it?
It was the year we. Yeah, it wasn't that high. I'm pretty sure.
It was like what, like
Mid-ish.
yeah, like 40s. I want to say.
48 or something. I don't know.
I'm not too sure. I might be 100% wrong on that. But regardless, I'm really happy to. I'm gonna. I'm just really excited to see how he kind of develops as a player because there's still some things that I'm sort of spotty with him.
Hmm.
Like, for example, I don't think he's that great in the run game.
Yeah,
I
for
could be
sure.
100% wrong about that, but from what I've seen from him, he's not too good at the run game. But when it comes to pressuring the quarterback, especially if you remember, the
Lamar
Lamar
Jackson in the
Jackson,
playoffs. Yeah.
the
Oh
Lamar
yeah.
Jackson strip sack, which I mean, I think that's one of those plays that Chargers fans are always going to remember.
Hmm.
Like, I'm more excited to see more of that, which I hope to see more against Teddy Bridgewater and the
Oh,
Panthers.
he's gonna. You know, Denzel Perryman's been playing against Teddy since high school, so that's really
Yep.
cool to hear. Back to Nwosu, I love him and Ingram both play the Leo position on our defense, and the way sometimes Ingram's just can take over games, and he can stop drives all by himself. And I haven't, and Nwosu's not quite there yet. Ingram has that mentality that I would love to replicate for myself and, as a defensive end. But that is just something that it's just incredible. Like, ASAP, and he's a dog, and just the way he plays out there is I don't think is replaceable by any means. But Nwosu, if he gets better in the run game, definitely becomes more of, I guess, a dog. He can definitely be good and become, I guess, the next Melvin Ingram.
Oh yeah, for sure. If not the next Melvin Ingram, then for sure the first Nwosu.
Yeah, that's true. I think his coverage, like Nwosu's coverage, is a little overrated or like underrated. My bad. I mean, he hasn't really disappointed. I think Ingram in coverage, actually, we should do a little bit more. Just the way he always is around the ball. But so we haven't finished all the rookies so far. So now we have we talked about Kelly already. He's been incredible. I love the way he runs through the tackles and his play style overall. We kind of already been over this.
Yeah.
Our next pick was Joe Reed. For me, I would like to see him more in the offense. He's that gadget player we drafted, like a Curtis Samuel type guy, where he's supposed to be like reverses, running the ball, like bubble screens, that type of thing. And I haven't really seen that. I know he had a reverse for 8 yards last game. That was like his only NFL touch, and he had that 46-yard kick return, and that's all I've seen from him.
I think we primarily drafted him to sort of compete with Darius Jennings for like that return position.
Yeah, and he beat. I think he won. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Jennings is gone.
Yeah.
But I think he played in the first game, didn't he? He played in the game against the Bengals.
I don't think so.
I want to say he did, but there were some throws that didn't find their target.
I just don't remember him lining up as a receiver at all.
I want to say I did. I could be 100% wrong, but I want to say there was a few passes that went his way that didn't
complete.
That didn't get completed.
And then after we drafted Joe Reed, we drafted Alohi Gilman, who was my least favorite pick in our whole entire draft. Thought the need for a safety wasn't necessary, but with the Derwin James injury, I guess it was.
Yeah.
I like the way he hits and he plays in the run game. His pass coverage, to put it bluntly, he's slow. He doesn't really get around to the ball too quick. If he's playing like cover 2 and he has to cover half the field and he gets manipulated with the quarterback's eyes, he's done for, He doesn't have that huge, like, long-range speed. But that's why he plays strong safety, I guess. I think more as a dime linebacker, that Jaleel Dye role, that Adrian Phillips role, he could definitely thrive in. We just haven't seen any of that yet because it's game 2 and he's a 6th-round pick, so it's completely understandable.
Yeah, touching on that, it kind of ties back into what we said about depth earlier. If he can sort of fix those mistakes, I could see him as not one of the best safeties in the league, but one that's going to get the job done for sure. Because he's a really hard hitter, isn't he?
Yeah, they called him the human missile.
Yeah, like that speed and that strength that he has. It's just there's obviously things that he has to fix. I mean, there's not much. Like, obviously, guys taking him later on, you're gonna want to work on a little bit. Those are like raw talents. So I mean, as of now, obviously it's week 2, so I don't really have much to say about him. I haven't seen him on the field too much. I think he's only had 4 or 5 snaps in total.
Probably. I think he's definitely been a special teams guy, which is
for
nice.
Sure.
Excuse me. And then KJ Hill, for me, been very disappointing. The hype around this man, I think, was almost too much. Out of the draft, I liked the way he ran. He reminded me a lot of Keenan Allen. But I don't think the hype, I think we hyped him up too much for a steal that he has been underperforming for all of us. When in reality, he's just playing like a 7th-round pick. He made the team. He is just a depth piece right now, and I think he'll be like that until either someone gets hurt or until he really proves himself into that slot role or something like that.
On the other hand, it's the complete opposite. Because in that first game against the Bengals, there were a couple of balls that went his way that, again, because Tyrod was sort of throwing them terribly, that didn't really land in the place that they were. But he had defenders beat. In the second game, I think they opted out for Guyton instead of Hill on most of the
Yeah, which was
drives, right?
surprising. Yeah.
Yeah, Guyton has been really good. I feel like once they sort of established like who is the starting quarterback, like are we gonna do Herbert the rest of the season? Are we gonna do Tyrod? Which is something we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But I feel like once they sort of officially establish the scheme that they run, because the scheme that they ran against the Chiefs, that was meant for Tyrod,
Hmm.
with dashes of what they wanted to see like Herbert do. So I feel like if we get like established a lot more as far as the quarterback position goes, we're gonna see a lot more of KJ Hill, and we're gonna see. I think after like I said, after we sort of establish everything, once we see him, we can for sure tell if he was a diamond in the rough, like we hyped him up to be, or if he was just a seventh round pick for depth.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. So talking about Justin Herbert, like a lot of things led to the loss against the Chiefs, right? I mean, obviously, let's just start it off with the Justin Herbert interception. He was rolling to his left, and he sees Keenan Allen break open in the middle of the field. And I totally saw what he saw. I'm pretty sure it was cover two. Both safeties were near the boundary, and Keenan's coming open in the middle of the field. And he stops, or he doesn't really stop to set his feet, which is really the issue because we all know Herbert has the arm strength of like comparable to anyone in the league. But he doesn't really stop his feet. He continues on the run, throws it, and he leads Keenan way too short, which gets picked off by Snead. And if he led Keenan way more down the field, I think he had a chance. Maybe just a deflection or an overthrow, rather than the big gain he was looking for. But I saw what he was trying to go for. But at the end of the day, he should have ran it.
Yeah, especially on the second and two, you want to for sure get that first down, run a couple of plays, run down that clock, just so you don't have what happened, happen. Because if you
Yeah,
give the Chiefs the ball back late in the game, we've seen what they can do. With Patrick Mahomes,
Hill
like, yeah, no lead is safe. No lead is safe at all.
ever. Yeah, I mean another issue that went to loss, I think, is the refs with the Tyreek Hill taking his helmet off. I mean, we can have excuses all we want. We lost the game for many reasons, but that itself was huge because that 2-point conversion wouldn't have happened. It would be from the 17-yard line, and that 1 point wouldn't have taken us to overtime like we went and lost. But
Yeah.
I think I think he gets away with a lot of things. Tyreek Hill, I don't like him at all. Like I'm a Tyreek Hill hater, I guess. But besides the point, I feel like they should have called the what was it, unsportsmanlike conduct on that play.
Yeah, they for sure should have. Another thing too that sort of I think wrong. I think this is something that people haven't really talked about too much, or they have, but they've only pointed out the obvious. The play calling down the stretch was awful. Like after a while, I think the Chiefs are gonna notice when you do a run, then a pass. So I think it was fourth quarter, 3 minutes and 23 seconds. I think that's when the Herbert interception came. And no, that wasn't when the Herbert
I think it was
interception came.
third
Cut,
quarter or even
yeah,
second, maybe.
obviously cut that part out.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it was the fourth quarter. Just that entire stretch, it was just questionable play calling. Like after a while, like I said, they're gonna notice when you do a run, then a pass. That's those sort of things. Once you know that they're coming, are easily defendable. So I kind of I can see why we can sit here and just pin that whole loss on that one Herbert interception. Honestly, I would blame it more on Anthony Lynn than anything
Yeah,
because, like, for example, that overtime play
the
where
fourth and one.
it was, yeah, you don't punt the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. I honestly thought that he was gonna go for it. I thought he was gonna be the Anthony Lynn from 2008, where the game was on the line, 2 point conversion, go for
Yeah,
it. You're not there to mess around with the Chiefs. You don't go to overtime with the Chiefs. That was the whole mindset in 2018.
yeah.
Now it's not like you're in dead man's land or anything. You're in decent field position. If you believe in your defense that much to punt the ball away, you should believe in your defense enough where if they mess up on the 4th and 1 conversion, that you'd get the stop.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I somewhat disagree about the play calling. Like Steichen, I mean, it's his second game as the play caller himself, but the issue is that I think he called a great game and he schemed a great game until the very end, because like running the same play 3 times in a row was stupid. I don't. That's like a high school coach mistake. I don't understand what the point was there. Maybe he saw something or Herbert saw something, but overall, I think he called a great game considering the circumstances of Tyrod being out and all that. But
Oh no, I 100% agree that he called an amazing game up until
like the
that
fourth
last
quarter
stretch.
ish,
Up
yeah.
up up until then, that's when they just stuck with the run. Which I understand. You want to manage the clock. You want to not give the Chiefs back the ball with like 10 minutes left. You want to run that clock down. But at the same time, you gotta switch it up a little bit, especially against that Kansas City defense.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like the Kansas City defense is not that great to put it put it there. Like they have a couple superstars, but outside of that, we should have passed the ball way more with their corners being out. L'Jarius Sneed is a rookie. Granted, he's playing great, and the other guy was Rashard Fenton, who I liked out of college, but has not been that great in the NFL. I feel like Mike should have gotten way more opportunities that game, especially against Fenton. Like that's a huge size difference. Speaking of Mike, there was a throw down way deep down the field that was Tyrann Mathieu versus Mike, and I feel like if Herbert threw it a little higher, Mike could have totally jumped over Tyrann Mathieu. That's 5'9" to 5 or the 6'4". He just
Yeah,
underthrew Mike a little bit, which led to the deflection.
yeah, he 100% did. And I watched the press conference today where Herbert sort of talked to the media, and one of the points that they touched on was that now that Herbert's getting those first team reps, he's starting to learn exactly where to place that ball. So for Mike, he wants to throw it a little bit higher because now he knows that Mike can jump up and get that ball.
Oh yeah,
For Keenan, like I think his passing to Keenan and Hunter and Guyton were stellar. It's just I don't think he's sort of used to having a sort of wide
big
receiver
target.
like Mike, because Herbert had good offensive weapons in Oregon, especially Jacob Breeland.
Oh yeah.
But other than that, like he didn't have too many good receivers, and obviously not no Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Hunter Henry.
The only
Touching on that, go ahead.
the only person I really think of from the Oregon offense in the receiver position was Juwan Jennings, who I don't even think got drafted this year, so maybe 7th round if anything. And it's just overall he didn't have much weapons and running backs nothing, receivers nothing. He had Jacob Breeland and he had his brother playing tight end as well, and that's really it.
Yeah, I never really liked Oregon's style of offense. I feel like it didn't. They never fully believed in Herbert, which I mean, understandably so, especially when I think he came out and played his freshman year. I want to say
He
that
did,
he came out and played. Even still, like back then, leading up to his last year of college, they never really put faith in him.
which is surprising because he's really the one who carried that offense. You look at he had 4 different schemes in 4 different years. He played since his freshman year, and going into his junior year, if he didn't come back for his senior year, he was gonna be the top quarterback of that draft class most likely. And I was thinking like I do a lot of the draft stuff, and I was like, dang, this Herbert guy is great. I was watching his film, and then he said he's gonna go back for his senior year. And I was like, okay, next year. And he, I guess, quote unquote, declined. He had awful games against Cal and against Arizona State, I want to say. But like overall, he was very I think he was hindered for the talent around him and the play calling around him as well.
Yeah, and then like obviously going from that to sort of the offensive scheme that they're running now in Los Angeles, like they're unlike Oregon, they're sort of fine tuning it to fit the future for Justin Herbert. I read when they drafted Herbert, they're sort of starting to go into shotgun formation a lot more than anything
Oh
because that's
yeah,
what Herbert played really well in college.
pistol for sure. I saw a lot of pistol.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a really fun next couple of years for all these rookies. Honestly, I'm excited to see what all these rookies hold. But obviously, especially Justin Herbert because I'm Justin Herbert's hype man. So
that's our guy for the future. I'm excited to see what he does, and I'm really hope he pans out and has a career like Rivers in the sense that he's an Iron Man, that he's always reliable. He's that guy for the franchise for a very long time. There's no real like issue. Like, of course, Rivers has interceptions and all that, but there's not a real issue that like fans want to get rid of him immediately. I don't want like I want like a Matt Ryan or someone that you can rely on. A franchise quarterback, pretty much at the end of the day, is what I'm trying to get at. Not someone like, what's a good example here? Like
Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, someone that's like unreliable, and you're like, not is he the future? Is he not? Jameis Winston, Josh Rosen, that type of thing. I just hope he can be that franchise guy for the next 20 years or so.
I think one of my favorite things about Herbert is going back to that interception. Um, Obviously, he should have ran it. He said later on in the game like that was obviously like a rookie mistake that he should have, in hindsight, he should have just ran for the 2 yards that he was trying to do way too much. Later on in the game, he had the same opportunity sort of presented in front of himself, and
He ran it.
yeah, he ran it. It just shows off like in college. In college, he was a very smart student. He is a very smart student. So it just goes to show how fast this kid can sort of
Learn.
soak up that knowledge. Yeah, and it's gonna be something really fun to see. Like obviously going up against Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna learn a few things. You're gonna sort of watch that game film and see like, okay, what did he do good that I didn't do good, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I feel like getting a guy with that much smarts and like how much he's shown already from one game, which like we touched on earlier, against the Super Bowl champs, he took the Super Bowl champs to overtime?
Yeah, he gave them a run for their money for sure.
Oh, he for sure did. So that and then paired with the fact like I think I read it was like 6:30 in the morning the next day where he went
Oh
with Lynn
yeah,
to
he
review
went
game
inside.
film.
That's
You
huge.
don't you don't see that nowadays.
That
You,
makes me
you don't
happy to know like he's genuinely trying to be that quarterback that everyone wants him to be, and it's good to know he's a hard worker because I feel like above all, being a hard worker in the NFL will take you more places than not.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I'm excited for the future of this franchise for sure. I think it's in good hands with Herbert, with most of the rookies that we got. Looking forward to sort of I'm honestly looking forward to see if this team can become a Super Bowl caliber team. I
Yeah,
think at the position that we're at right now, obviously me being a Chargers fan, I'm gonna say yes, but there's a part of me that's like, I don't know, I feel like we're missing something.
I
But
don't know
I feel
exactly what we're
but
missing.
but like but like let let me kind of redefine that because going into this season, I thought we were missing something. Like with Tyrod starting, I have and had a lot of faith in him, you know?
Yeah,
Like I understand that he was playing with cracked ribs, I guess, and he was gonna play with cracked ribs against the Chiefs.
which is
But
that's a testament to Tyrod on how tough he is, and I think he has dealt with a really bad luck over the past couple years for him, and
yeah,
I wish him well.
yeah, Chargers fans everywhere I think should wish him well. They shouldn't just like,
Bash
oh
him.
yeah, now it's Herbert season. Like that's
He's a person
disrespectful.
too, man.
Yeah, exactly. But where was I going with that?
So like,
Oh yeah, with Tyrod, I feel like there was something missing. But after watching that Chiefs game and seeing what Herbert did, if not this year, then in the next few years, I 100% expect a Super Bowl ring in LA. That's not the Rams.
yeah, I mean, something that kind of worries me is like like he goes out against the Panthers, who are a much worse team, and just like flops. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a one game fluke. That's just me overthinking it, and I think Herbert will ball out against the Panthers. And speaking of which, we're gonna do a little segment where we just talk about what we think is gonna happen and how you think players are going to perform against this upcoming game on Sunday, and all of that.
So, for Battle of the QBs, Bridgewater and Herbert, obviously Bridgewater has more of that experience in the league.
Oh, yeah.
I think we both know the winner of that QB battle.
Yeah, I think it's Bridgewater. I mean, you might be laughing right now, but Bridgewater, even though with all the knee surgery, he can still move a little bit. I think his pocket presence will be a huge factor in the game because we know our pressure is going to get there. It's just a matter of fact if we can finish the sack or not, which we could not do at all with Mahomes. Couldn't finish it. We let up big runs, and I feel like that's going to be a huge point for us today or on Sunday against Bridgewater.
With that Panthers offensive line, though, with the way that they performed this league, like I'm a firm believer that Teddy Bridgewater can do it, but with Christian McCaffrey being out, with a lot of that offense not being ready, especially with the former Charger, we're not he who shall not be named, being one of the injured people on that Panthers line.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's going to play a major role.
They have three former Chargers on that O-line. We got Wakanda Tech, we got Michael Schofield, and then we got the man who kind of hurt Rivers a little bit.
We're not going to talk about him.
I hope he plays, though. I really hope he plays.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But I think from that, though, obviously, I think the winner of that QB battle is going to be Herbert, just because of the way that the line has been performing compared to sort of the Panthers line. And that's not to shit on Bridgewater. Like we said, Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. Obviously not a great quarterback, but he is a good quarterback who could get the job done. We've seen that last year in New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
He can get the job done. It's just when you don't have a good supporting cast, then what can you do?
I think I have to disagree. I think Bridgewater will maybe not perform better than Herbert, but is the better quarterback than Herbert because
yeah, he for sure is the better quarterback.
Your career is you can't compare, you know.
No, yeah, I'm just saying like for this game, I think I don't think it's gonna be a shootout. I don't think so.
Defensive battle, really.
Even still, that the Panthers' defense isn't
that great.
It's good. Yeah, it's not that great. The Panthers this year they're not
great.
I don't. Yeah. I didn't want to just say it, but I don't think they're that great of a team, especially when you have guys like Russell Okung. Like we said, he's gonna be out.
It looks like that Quan Short is doubtful, who's a huge DT for them. Okung is questionable. And then Dennis Daly, I'm pretty sure is their starting guard, is doubtful as well. But pull up
I mean,
team right now.
And then obviously with Christian McCaffrey being out too, that's a pivotal part of their offense right there.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at their supporting cast, and DJ Moore is definitely a force to be reckoned with. He's a great running back, great receiver. I liked him out of college as well from Maryland. And I think he's only on the way up. Robbie Anderson is a burner out there. Great player as well. Curtis Samuel is kind of that Joe Reed type of guy, and I think we're going to have to watch out for him. At tight end, they got Ian Thomas, Chris Manhertz, both athletic type guys, but nothing really to be worried about there.
Yeah, and then Mike Davis. The only reason I kind of want him to do good is because I have him on my fantasy. but I feel like against that electric fence, I feel like there's only so much you can be able to do.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't have two running backs on their roster. It looks like Mike Davis, who I've actually I had like a connection to Mike Davis. I used to collect cards, and I collected him for a very long time for literally no reason, but I collected him, and but it's cool to see that he's starting again. Trenton Cannon, who I think was pretty good with the Jets last year, had good yards per carry. But, I mean, that offense is really just DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. They have good receivers, but then again, we have Chris Harris, Casey Hayward, who can take care of these guys no problem.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, kind of like I've been saying for, like, the past, 10 minutes? Christian McCaffrey is a huge loss for this team, especially with the Chargers, how they... Even still, not as much anymore, but they've always had trouble in the past sort of stopping the run.
Oh, yeah.
So, So going into this, that was for sure a huge question mark. So I mean, I hate to wish injury on players, but I mean, it's good that we're not going to be facing Christian McCaffrey.
For sure. Looking at their defense, I like their defense a lot. Brian Burns, very very athletic defensive end out of where'd he come from? I think Florida State. Came from Florida State, I want to say, and he the way he dips and bends or like under tackles is amazing. He is very athletic, and I think Brian Bulaga might have a little bit of trouble with him because Bulaga is not the most athletic tackle there is. Because and then that's kind of a mismatch right there. Quan Short's not going to play. Derek Brown, huge defensive tackle. He's still a rookie, and I haven't really heard much headline from him at all. And I think we can definitely gash it up the middle, considering that their best defensive tackle is out.
Yeah.
And then finishing up the defensive line, they got Yetur Gross-Matos, who from Penn State I thought was a first-round pick, but he didn't end up going. I like him too. He's very raw, but he's very athletic. I liked him. Stephen Weatherly is a good depth piece they have. He came from the Vikings. He was pretty solid for them too. So I mean, overall, the D line's gonna have some good. I think for their pass rush, I think it's gonna be great on the outside. But other than that, there's really nothing to be worried about.
Especially at the free safety position when you have Trey Boston playing,
Oh yeah.
because we know all too well about how he does in the secondary.
And their linebackers, I mean, Jeremy Chin, I'm actually surprised he's starting already for them. He's a free safety, he's a safety linebacker hybrid. Out of the draft, I knew he was coming from a small school and he was athletic, but I don't really know much about him. Tahir Whitehead, solid player, played for the Lions and the Raiders. And then Shaq Thompson, he's been a good linebacker for them for a very long time. And their corners, I think their corners are very underrated. Dante Jackson, he's been a great speedy corner I think he's like, if Michael Davis became the best Michael Davis, he can be Dante Jackson,
Yeah.
Troy Pride, I love this dude out of college. I think he was one of the better corners coming out, and he's played solid so far. I like him a lot still. Rasul Douglas, he was okay for the Eagles, I guess. Good number 3 corner. And then, of course, I've never heard of a strong safety before. Justin Bierce. Have you heard of him?
I have not.
Okay. And then Trey Boston. We all know Trey Boston. 5 picks, 2017. Jack Boys. I mean, I think he was underrated.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he was underrated for us, and we should have re-signed him.
I think there's some plays that he should have made. I mean, obviously there's not much you could really ask out of him. But, I mean, obviously I wish no ill will on him, but I feel like, I don't know. It's just, it's one of those signings where if we would have signed him, okay, cool. If we didn't, well, obviously we didn't sign him, like, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
just next guy up.
2020. We got Derwin because we didn't sign him. We got Rayshawn, Nas. I think it looks pretty good for us now.
Now,
yeah.
The age-old question. Who do you think's going to come out of this game on top?
I think it's going to be the Chargers just because our offense is playing out better than theirs and our defense is playing out better than theirs. Barring anything crazy, I think we're going to come out with a score of I would like to say probably 27 to 13 or something like that.
I also think that the Chargers are going to prevail. All in all, they're just the better team in this sort of situation. I think it's going to be a more higher scoring game for the Chargers. I say, oh boy, I'm going to eat my words if this is wrong. 35-14.
Dang. All right, Madden scores right here.
I expect a lot out of this Justin Herbert guided offense.
Okay. I mean, I would love to see that. I would. Yeah, that sounds great to me. We got to stop settling for field goals overall, but
I think the big thing is you're with the Chiefs, you're not going to win with field goals.
Oh, never.
With Baltimore, you're not going to win with field goals. I feel like those are the two teams you got to really worry about. As far as the Panthers go,
We're good.
Eh. Yeah. I think we should be good with Money Badger.
I love the Money Badgers on my fantasy team, and I love getting those points, but I'd rather win the game. So, we can stop kicking field goals and start scoring extra points.
I agree with that 100%.
Well, I think that'll wrap it up for our first podcast.
Yeah, I think we did pretty well.
Yeah, this is our first take, barring me screwing up the intro and forgetting the name. But this is our first take, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And make sure to leave any comments, feedback, anything you want to hear from either one of us. We got our social medias. Thank you for listening to Blitz the Bolt. Anything you want to say?
Yes, the next episode is gonna be after the Panthers game. It's gonna be sort of recapping the game, what sort of happened in that game, talking about the good and the bad and the ugly.
The game's on Sunday. Definitely from then to the next game, it will be out before the next game.
Yeah, so kind of touching on what Nate said. If you guys enjoyed what you saw or heard, I should say, let us know. Let us know what we did good, what we did bad. I mean, we're just a couple of high school students just sharing our love for the Chargers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Don't forget, bolts up, wear a mask so you can all go to SoFi Stadium and have a good rest of your day or night.
See you guys. Peace.